Hi, Sven here. In this video, I'm going to do something really special. Specifically, I will compare the current top 5 best and most important image generators and then provide everything in the form of a document. And by the end of the video, not only will you have seen how everything works, but I'll also tell you how you can get access to this document so you can download it and take a closer look at your leisure. We already have the first result here in the document. I used my standard prompt, which I always use for image generators, the one with Darth Vader in his pink dress end. As you can see here, I'm using Flux, Stable Diffusion, Recraft, also known as Red Panda, Ideogram, and Midjourney to create these images. I'm doing all of this in a make automation. But before we take a look at them, I want to quickly give you an overview of the images we're creating here. An old man, like a Viking, a 3D structure, a woman in a pizza dress, some kind of dream illusion image, an astronaut on an ice planet, then an Italian villa, then a lava monster, a marble statue, and finally the horror hamster. And I got all these images from Prompt Hero, but I did modify all the prompts a bit because I wanted to generalize them. That means I'm not using all the special features of the different tools, but instead each tool gets the same prompt. I copied these prompts into a Google Sheet here, and in my automation the whole thing looks like this. First, I read these prompts from this Google Sheet. So at the moment, for testing purposes, I'm setting the limit to 1 so that we actually only run one of these prompts for now, and I'll do the rest afterwards and add them to the document later. Then I create a variable from that, which simply serves to receive this prompt. I do this just for the sake of clarity. Then I write the prompt into this document. That means I select the document here and simply insert the prompt so that I always have this prompt displayed above the images. And then I have a router here because the 4 generators, Flux, Stable Diffusion, Red Panda, and Ideogram work in the same way. That means here I start the generation, wait until the generation is finished, and then add the result to the document. With Midjourney, I have to do the whole thing in 3 steps, but I'll show that in a moment. And that's the reason why I've separated it here. Then I also have a repeater here, which currently doesn't do anything. Specifically, it counts from 1 to 1, which means it runs exactly once. But I included it because, as you probably know, Midjourney always generates 4 images at once. And then I have to select one of them and then upscale it accordingly and use it. And now I didn't want to create 4 images, each for 11 pictures and 5 generators. So instead I thought I'd just always take only 1, but I simply left the repeater in. That way I can also set it to 2 or 4 and then generate more images accordingly. And this router is only included here for the sake of clarity so that I can ultimately use these 4 different generators here. And the whole thing now works in such a way that I set a variable here each time where I set the prompt, and what needs to be included in this prompt I take from the respective documentation. I use Flux, Stable Diffusion, and Red Panda. I use them via Fel AI. I'll just quickly switch over there right now. That means with Fel AI, I need an account. I also have to load a few euros onto it. And then I have the documentation for each one here. So here, for example, Flux 1 Pro, which I use, the complete documentation is provided here for how to use the API. The same goes for Stable Diffusion, the same for Recraft, that is Red Panda. Then for Ideogram, I use the dedicated API that Ideogram provides. And for Midjourney, I use the user API where I also created an account and loaded a few euros onto it. And here as well, I have the corresponding documentation. I have already published videos for Flux, for Midjourney, and for Ideogram. You can, of course, watch those as well. And I'll probably make a video for Stable Diffusion and Red Panda soon too. So let's take a closer look at the scenario. That means I have for each case the prompt and the JSON structure showing how this prompt is actually supposed to be used. I always use portrait images, which means I have portrait 16:9 here. That's a bit misleading, I think, because I would actually write 9:16 here, but for landscape format it says landscape and 16:9 is always listed. It's a bit odd, but oh well. Yes, and then I go into the respective API, and it's always the same for all three of these fel AI elements. Specifically, I have a call up here, fel.run, and then either Flux Pro or Stable Diffusion or Red Panda. I have my authorization here with my API key, and then I use the prompt in the request, which I've set in these variables here. And as I already mentioned, the whole thing runs synchronously. That means a few seconds pass here, and when the image generation is finished, I insert the title of the generator as a heading in the document so that I can correctly assign the images. And then I use this insert image to document function from Google Docs, which does nothing more than take this document ID that I get from earlier. And then it uploads this image, which comes out of the generator, to the document using its URL. There is only one option here, namely that Red Panda currently only provides a WebP format. And the insert image function does not recognize the WebP format. That means I first have to convert it. So I convert it from WebP to JPEG. For this, I use the product Cloud Convert. I've already used it in various videos. You get 10 free conversions per day. So it shouldn't be a problem to sign up and use it accordingly. So I convert it to JPEG and then upload the result of this conversion into the document. With Ideogram, it's basically the same, but here I use the Ideogram API, which I can use directly. Again, I have to enter my API key here, but otherwise everything is the same. That means down here, the respective prompt is also included again. With Midjourney, things work a bit differently. Midjourney doesn't have an open API. That means I have to go through a provider here. I use User API for this, and they are also an official Make partner. And here there are basically two special features. One is that in the image prompt, I can use the prompt directly from up here since I don't need a JSON document, but I do have to specify the format in the prompt here, meaning the aspect ratio 9:16, so that we get a portrait format. And if we look at the call here from this user API, we have the prompt included right here, and we also provide the webhook here. That means we trigger the generation, and as soon as the generation is finished, which I have selected down here, webhook is called, and for that I need another make scenario. And this webhook, that's exactly this one here. And when it is called, this second scenario is started. This second scenario then receives an ID and a hash value via the webhook. And then I use this upscale function. That means I simply use this upscale module here, pass in the hash. And if I think in terms of these 4 images again, I could also use the repeater here to upscale all 4 images. But for this example, I am always using only the first one by default, so the one in the top left. And this function also receives a webhook, and this webhook then triggers the third tool, the third scenario, which is initiated here via this webhook. And then I do the same as before. That means I add the title of the generator to the document, and then I add the image. So that's the process. And now I want to run through it concretely. That means I start here. I'm not setting these scenarios to run automatically right now. Instead, I'm just selecting run once here, and I'll do the same at this point. And then we go into the tool here, and as we saw earlier at the beginning, I've now limited the prompt to a single result. So when I start it now, the first entry from the Google Sheet will be used, and then all these paths should be executed. Let's just start it now. Zach. So get prompts. We can take a look right away. Aha, that's the tired old man, the fisherman. And here we are already in Flux. And Flux now creates an image within 4 or 5 seconds. That means it's already finished here. Then comes stable diffusion. That's even faster than Flux. As we've seen, the new version only takes about 2 seconds. The red Panda takes a little bit longer. And here we also have the delay caused by converting from WebP to JPEG. So that also takes a few seconds. And out of these, Ideogram actually takes the longest. We're about to get to that now. Ideogram is also done, and now Midjourney is being started. And of course, that happens immediately. But now we just have to wait until the Midjourney image is generated. We're moving on to the next scenario here. And as soon as the image is generated, this webhook will be triggered, and that will take about 45 seconds. That's why we'll take a short break. And the call has been made, the 4 images have been generated, and that in turn triggers the third scenario. That's already finished here as well, and the image has also been added to the document. Now let's take a look. Let's go over to the document. It should start here on the next page. All right, there it is. The prompt, then comes the Flux image. Yes, very expressive. Stable diffusion image. That looks more like a Buddha or something. Sherlock Holmes knockoff. That's kind of really weird. And Midjourney, yeah, that almost looks more like a drawing and not at all like a photo. Okay, so far so good. I'm now going to run this through for all these images, and then at the end I'll have the completely finished result. Let's take another quick look at that here in the video. See you in a bit. It took about 15 minutes to generate these 45 images, so 9 from each of 5 generators. And I also have all of them here in the document now. I've already formatted them as well. That means we now have this table everywhere with the prompt above it and then the 5 images each. And yeah, if we just skim through it quickly, you can see, for example, stable diffusion completely misunderstood the tribal panther. It gave it a panther-like face. Ideogram didn't understand the Viking at all. They're also very different from each other. They turned out cool. The woman with the pizza. The images also have a certain similarity. It's really interesting to see. The astronaut. Here, Midjourney really did something completely different from all the others. That's also interesting to see. Also here, yeah, everywhere in the background there's this well, not with stable diffusion, but this urban environment is not visible at all in Midjourney. The Hadrian's head, pretty good. And the hamster. Okay, so overall a very exciting experiment. I'd be happy if you subscribe to our channel, leave me a like and a comment. And you can download this document by clicking on download PDF in the description below, and then I'll send the whole thing to you. Bye and have fun with it.